Hi, my name is Cameron Carolyn, and this is the introduction to my pedagogical assessment portfolio. Starting here, I'm going to be discussing my growth statement. From here, you can see I have listed in the subheading all 12 weeks of the course, detailing my journey throughout this course and the assignment with work throughout each week and a podcast relating to each week as well. For my growth statement, I want to introduce it by saying that my understanding of assessment has grown immensely. Now understanding more so the minutia behind why we do assessment, how we do assessment, and the ways it should be done. Now I have really come away from this course with a greater understanding of the purpose of assessment and the ways it can be utilized, not just in formal tests, but all throughout the class to engage with the students, understanding their thought process, their learning experiences, and taking from that into forming a course or a class that is best catered towards them and their needs. This is something I have found as the biggest aha moment, understanding where my ideas lie with assessment, and now taking that into my practicum, I see this as extremely valuable and something that I will carry with me. I will be discussing 3 different points of assessment. First, discussing the foundations, so the purpose of assessment and designs and preparation, understanding kind of the evaluation aspect and how it can be used through reporting. And then I will be discussing use, so the vitalization of feedback and student work, how this can be used to demonstrate elements of the assessment process. And finally, I'll be looking at quality, understanding fairness, equity, and reflection within assessment to see how a student is understanding knowledge, skills, attitudes, and the beliefs, and how this will go into impacting their overall assignments and time in the course. The idea of foundations within assessment is vital. It is something that I feel like I have learned the most about throughout during the course, and something that I will take with me in my journey as an educator. This first was shown and was most prevalent, in my opinion, through the backwards design process. This process essentially boils down to starting an assessment with the goal in mind. We have in mind at the core of the assessment what we want the students to take from, and then building from there, understanding how we can deliver to them and what they need to know. This is something that I found to be a great aha moment during this specific part, understanding really just at its core how we are able to design courses this way. It is never designed with how we're going to teach them first and then what can we relate it to. It is always designed with the end goal in mind first. Something that seems so obvious, but as someone who has never had formal experience within the classroom, really was so revelatory to me, and something that has really stuck with me and shaped my perspective, not only in this class, but other classes as well. We as well see this related to the idea of assessment design, understanding what the assessment at its core is for, whether it's a diagnostic assessment, or if it's a formative assessment or a summative assessment, knowing what the choice of assessment can really lead to within the course and understanding how this may impact our students. This relates to the why, what, who, how, and where we discussed within week 10, understanding what forms of assessment can be utilized within this. Having these questions be answered within our final goal is essential to understanding our students and giving them the best education possible, something that we should always keep in mind. We then shift our focus towards the use of assessment within the course. Here, I found myself most gravitated towards the idea of feedback and how essential feedback can be used within education. I am someone who has always greatly valued feedback, but in reality has not always gotten the best feedback regarding assignments. So it's something that has left me wondering about where I can do better and what I can do better. So knowing this is something that we are instilling within new educators such as myself, I find it to be extremely important and something that I will uphold greatly. This can be seen within week 9 of the course, essentially just understanding the role of descriptive feedback, knowing how the comment framework can help being more specific and concise with our answers and our feedback towards students, and also focusing on key words and descriptors and qualifiers to give students. This then culminated in one of my favorite pieces of my portfolio, which is in week 11, where we focused on the teacher moderation recording sheet, getting a sample work, and then as a group, looking at it together, giving evidence of why we graded something the way we did, and how we can give the next step for students, real descriptive feedback that will help them grow as learners and as people, understand the skills that they need required to succeed and exceed in life. This idea of feedback then relates to the idea of reporting and examining student work, understanding that we are not looking just at one piece of work itself. We are looking at the student as a human being, as a whole person, somebody with backgrounds and layers to them, not just a single test. We take everything into account when we are marking them and make sure we are giving a holistic and meaningful report on how they did and how they are doing, whether it be learning goals, whether it be working habits. Something that I really took from this was the idea of just keeping notes on our students, having a book where I'm able to write about how a student is doing, keeping even just small jot notes, seeing what they did per day, something to track their progress personally, and make sure I have stuff to give their parents if I need to, about whether it's questions about how they're doing in class, room for improvement, stuff I saw them exceed in, and parts of them that I think really excelled, giving them not only bad feedback, but good feedback as well, applauding them and bringing them up when they need it, telling them, hey, you did a great job on this. I noticed, even just talking to them and being like, hey, I noticed you're struggling in this, but I've seen some amazing improvement. And I want to champion you for that. I want to applaud you for that. This is essential within the pedagogy process and is something that I found to be very impactful and something that I will keep with me throughout this course and throughout my journey as an educator. And finally, throughout the idea of assessment, we must take a look at quality. This has many different factors towards it, but the factor that I looked at the most was the idea of equity. Ensuring that all of our assignments are equal in nature, focus on UDL terminology and frameworks that allow students to tackle it from different angles, understanding that their learning skills can all be utilized in different ways to come to the same outcome or goal. This is something that we should take a look at always when creating assignments. This was my aha moment for this specific point, understanding that we must ensure this is capable and possible for each student, knowing that if there's a student who doesn't have as strong English capabilities, that if they're immigrated from another country, making sure that there are options for them so they're able to learn at the same pace as every other student and not falling behind, making sure that we treat them with the same fairness and equality we do to every single other student, knowing that just because they don't understand English, that doesn't mean they aren't smart, as some people have created like horrible stereotypes about. We must ensure that students are being looked after all equally. This goes into the assessment design we were looking at before, while also looking at reporting and feedback and evaluation. Essentially, it's the culmination of everything we looked at prior. Essentially, it's just making sure that there's context within our grading, that we are understanding what the classroom looks like, what the student learning looks like, how they are in the classroom, everything that goes into making who they are into the grading. This is making sure more teachers and educators are aware of this complexity of grading to ensure that there is a valid, fair, and reliable and beneficial practice to our students. This is something I will take me always as an educator, and something that I found to be extremely important as essentially the culmination of what we were learning throughout the classroom in this course. In conclusion, I had such an amazing time throughout this course and feel like I have taken so much from it. In terms of assessment, it is something that I was always aware of, but never understood truly the importance of it until now. Knowing how all-encompassing it is, how many factors we must take into it, and how we can design an important and effective and purposeful assessment for our students. This is the bedrock of our reporting and our connection to students and parents alike, making sure that we have something to track them, to make sure they're on the right path within the curriculum and the material. This is the key that assessment holds within this, and something that I will carry with me as an educator.